Morning, everyone. Thank you guys for joining me again. I wanted to talk about the agenda, talk about some updates that I made to it since our last session. You'll notice that now we have in the on the agenda are the dates, so I thought that that was helpful. I went ahead and I listed the dates for sessions 1 to 8, and every time we conclude a session, I'm going to go ahead and link that session to the recorded broadcast. So you'll see the ones coming, and then you'll be able to see the ones that we've already done. And you can just click on the link that says that's highlighted for session 1 or after today's session 2, and that'll take you right back to the recorded broadcast. So I like that update to the agenda. I think that will be useful. And then you obviously found the Google On Air, so that one is a live link, and we'll go ahead and remove that after this session until the following one, which is tomorrow, July 2nd. I wanted to start with you guys with a discussion, so it's going to require you to either take your mute off your microphone or you can chat in the chat box. But one of your homework assignments last time we met, last week, was to play around with the skill library and look at what's there and investigate some of the resources and tools and how it functions. So I wanted to make sure a couple of things, that you guys received your welcome email, and then from that, if you were able to look around at the skill library and explore some of the parts and what did you find and what did you like. So this would be a time for us just to kind of debrief, and then I'm going to share a little bit of my favorite parts of the skill library, and then we will move into deeper learning of what's outlined on the agenda. So what are some things that you guys saw in your journey and exploration?
Hi, this is Lillian. Can you hear me?
I can, Lillian. How are you?
Great. As I was going through, I noted that there were a lot of tools for both the teacher and the student, particularly to use for different aspects of the lesson, whether you wanted to do direct instruction, small group instruction, independent practice. So I like the fact that those materials were available in all those different forms. I like the fact that it was embedded, so you could go right in and click. So those embedded forms were really impressive to me because everything you needed was pretty much right there at hand for the lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the writing component I know we'll talk about that today, but I like that prompt builder.
Oh, good.
Based on the Common Core. That was really impressive as well.
Good. Thank you, Lillian. I think Jennifer and Chantel are also here. Oh, Chantel's typing. Perfect. Oh, good. Hey, that's awesome. Chantel, you guys can read, I'm sure, in the chat, but she was looking through some of the lessons and found a lesson that she is thinking about maybe teaching in the first week of class, so that's awesome. I know that's coming up for you guys pretty quickly. Not to not to add a little bit of sadness to your morning, but yeah, that's coming up pretty quickly for you guys. So yeah, planning for the first week, that's good. And Jennifer, it's okay if you didn't get a chance, but were you able to take a look, or do you have ideas that you'd like to share, something you found, something you liked? Or if you didn't get a chance, that's okay. It's not, this isn't about calling you out right now, but okay. Well, we can go ahead and move on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the resource, the TA specifically, and share with you some of the things that I love as a classroom teacher. And so now you should see LiteracyTA on your screen. And I'm just going to walk you through some of the parts that I love. So when I'm teaching, I really want to have a tool that I can use in the moment that gives me what I need when I need it. So sort of what Lillian was saying is that when I'm teaching, I have a resource that is kind of intuitive. It gives me the things that I need. Sometimes I didn't even realize I need them, and then I see it and I say, oh yeah, that would be a perfect fit for what I'm doing right now. So I'm going to click on Reading Nonfiction, and I have my different skills. We have our skills lined up in organized in 3 ways. One of the ways is through the reading process. So I can choose a skill based on the different steps in the reading process. I can also change what these skills are by changing my reading purpose. So I have different purposes in this drop-down menu, and I can choose reading argument, and the skills refresh to argument. You can see now where it has analyzing an author, and then marking a text, and analyzing evidence, and then an argument map. So the skills all change, but what I love about this is that the skills are still aligned to the reading process. Okay? So this is one way we organize our 60 skills in the skill library. The second way is through DOK. So all I did was I was in my skill library top page, and I clicked on Reading Nonfiction. If you click on any of them, you'll see a link to building DOK. So as we know, DOK is depth of knowledge, and this is a different way of thinking about our skills. And so if you click on DOK, you're going to see these 3 categories: comprehension, analysis, and synthesis. So if you're working with your students on comprehension, then these are all these categories here. So prior knowledge, summary writing skills, prompt analysis skills, and then analysis is visual analysis, graphic organizers. You have analytical reading, and then examining evidence. So then on the other one is synthesis. So we have synthesis skills organized this way. So this is all under DOK. So that's the second way that we organize. It looks like Jennifer has said that my voice is cutting in and out. Or is it okay on the other end? Are you guys, Chantel and Lillian, are you guys okay? Can you hear me clearly and it's smooth or no? And video, can you guys confirm or deny that it's okay? Okay. So Jennifer, it could be, it looks like video and audio is fine on their end. So a couple of options. You can jump off and try to go back on. The other option is, I don't know if you have stronger internet in different parts of your house. It could be a streaming issue. The third option is you can jump off and then you can watch the recorded, and you can still interact with us. You just won't be able to ask me a direct question. So those are 3 options to fix anything that's happening with your internet. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into an actual skill page. And so let's just do Read 1, Speak 2, Write 3. This is one of my favorite collaborative reading activities. So Read 1, Speak 2, Write 3. The first thing that you're going to see is you're going to see all of the handouts and activities all in one snapshot. And then as you scroll down, you're going to see the slides. And what I love about this is I can look at these slides and kind of plan my lesson. Over to the right are teaching tips on how to teach each slide. And when I'm ready, I can click the arrow and the website transforms into a presentation. And I can move through the presentation seamlessly and in the right order by clicking my arrow, or I believe, yeah, just clicking my arrow and the space bar in order to move the slides. And at any time, I can open up the handouts, or during a lesson, I can open the timer. I don't know if you guys saw that, so there's a timer. So on any slide, I can set a pace, a requirement, a benchmark for them. And then I can also open the Collaborate tool. And the Collaborate tool is really nice because it allows me to assign numbers to every student in my class. And then, depending on what I want to do, I can group my students in pairs and click Mix, and it randomly mixes them into pairs. Or I can assign them into groups and press Mix, and it puts them into groups. So it's supposed to be side by side, so 12 and 29 should be next to 34 and 4, so I'll check that after the session to make sure that that's working okay. But this is a great way to get kids into random groups. And so getting my kids mixed up, and then if I press mix again, it's going to mix the whole group again, completely random, and you can see all the numbers change. And the kids like this because they see it as being very fair. It's unexpected, it's random, they don't really know what's going to happen, so their engagement level increases. When they're in their groups, I can pick a student by clicking Pick a Student, and that randomly chooses one. I can pick a group, or I can pick a group, a student in a group. So this is another way to hold them accountable, picking groups by random, picking students by random, or picking a student inside of a group. So this is all within the Collaborate tool. And the way I got there is just by opening up the Collaborate tool and then having it go away when I'm done using it. All of these handouts are in PDF form. So if I want to show students verbs, for example, and my screen isn't as big as I want it to be, I can enlarge the handout so that kids all the way in the back of the room can see the work that I'm wanting them to see and see the ideas I want them to use. The other thing that's nice about the materials is that they are all written for classroom use and student use. So all of these pieces, so the verbs for says, summary starters, these have kid-friendly definitions. The starters are what kids need at this level. And then, of course, the rubric. And the rubric is designed to assess just this experience. So this is a pair share rubric. So when my students are engaged in the Read 1, Speak 2, Write 3, I can, if necessary, or if this is part of my learning objectives for the year, I can assess a single student or the group based on how they're working together. And you'll notice that there are numbers on our rubrics. All of our rubrics have these numbers. There's a 0 to 2, 3 to 4, a 5, and a cross. And the reason why we put point values to our rubric is simple. I'll explain that with another visual. When you're on the Read 1, Speak 2, Write 3, or any skill for that matter, you're going to see a performance tracker. This performance tracker is adapted from Marzano's work in the art and science of teaching. And what we want to do with this is we want to show student growth. When we have a process and a rubric that we're assessing, using a rubric to assess the process, we want to show students' growth. But if I don't have a point value attached to each cell or each box in the rubric, it's really hard for the students to know that they're growing. A lot of times students might be a 3 and they're a 3 for a very long time because they maybe improved in one box but didn't improve in another box, or they're not quite good enough to move to the next step, and so they keep getting 3s and 3s and 3s and 3s, and they feel discouraged because they're not actually showing any growth. Well, with our rubrics the way they are, let me show you those numbers again. A student can move from a, say, score of a 9 to a score of 11. If I use an old rubric style, they're still going to be a 3. A 9 and an 11 is still a 3. But if I give them an 11, they're actually seeing their growth, so they can color in 9, 10, and 11. And that's going to be better for them than if they were to just consistently say, well, I'm a 3 this week, I'm a 3 next week, I'm a 3. And the reason why I keep saying 3 is because that's kind of the traditional way of using a rubric, right? So imagine this would be like a 3 in developing, and then proficient would be, this area might be like a 4 or a 5, right, in this small of a rubric. So if my students are consistently scoring in this area, and maybe sometimes coming over here and getting a lower foundational score, and then maybe scoring over here, if I take a holistic score, it's still going to be a middle score, right? It's still going to be a middle score. But what I want to do is I want to show that growth. Every time they make just a little bit of growth, I want to be able to show the student that this tracker helps. And what you would do is you would add up the numbers. So if my student scored a 3, a 4, and maybe a 4, now that student is scoring at an 11. And I can have them color in all the way up to 11. So we have these tools on every one of our skill pages. We have a rubric, and then we have a performance tracker. So depending on what your goals are for the year, you can use these tools. We also have a pacing guide on all of our skill pages. And the pacing guide identifies instructional decisions that are best for student growth and performance. So what we argue is that for the first 6 weeks, you're in this cognitive skill, knowledge, and comprehension cycle. And this is what we're saying is good for you to do and for students. This is the teacher side. What does the teacher do? And then what do the students do? And then the next 6 weeks, the cognitive application demonstration. This is what the student should be doing at this level, learning the skills. And then this is what the teacher should be doing. And then we move all the way to where students are becoming more independent and they're learning multiple skills at the same time and they're executing multiple skills during one reading or one writing experience. So there's lots of support here for you as a teacher. And then for teams or individually, we have a planning journal. And this planning journal helps you walk through the planning of using a new skill. And this handwritten portion is just examples of what you could write in the spaces. So for every part of the plan, there's an example of what it might look like or sound like if you were to write it yourself. So we're going to learn a lot more about the skill library, but this is just a quick tutorial so that you feel a little bit more comfortable and confident about what you have and how this can help you. All right. So this is the what we call skill page, and we have 60 of these across reading, speaking, and writing skills. Okay. So since I have the screen shared, I'm going to go ahead and close these tabs, and I'm going to go ahead and open up our agenda so we can see where we are. And I think everyone's navigating the agenda quite well. So we just finished the checking in and what did you discover. Now I'd like to talk about developing writing tasks, and I think Lillian, you were saying that you kind of played around a little bit with the prompt builder. So the presentation is also available. So the presentation for session 2, we have our objectives, which is right here. We're going to start deepening understanding how to write and analyze prompts. We just kind of finished up understanding LiteracyTA's skill-based approach. So what kind of tools do we offer to support the skill-based approach to close reading and writing? And then once we get done with the prompt builder, we're going to talk about step 1 and step 2 in the reading process. So the prompt builder is important to talk about before we get to step 1, because step 1 is about students analyzing the prompts that we give. So we need to talk about creating those prompts. We need to talk about what do we do, how do we create good, authentic prompts for our students. And instead of us thinking about them and sitting down, I used to sit down and have to write them all on my own without any support. This is why I built the writing prompt builder, because as a teacher, I don't have that kind of time to write prompts for every reading assignment. And I want to make sure that I give my kids good prompts that they can use to drive their reading and that they can respond to in speaking or writing. But I wanted something that I could use that could develop quickly. So you guys can do one of two things. You can either follow along on the screen or you can jump to the prompt builder with me. But I'm going to keep my screen in the share mode. From the agenda, I'm going to click on the LiteracyTA's prompt builder, and I'm going to go ahead and take us to the prompt builder page. If you want to know how to get there on your own, you can either click on the link, or in the top navigation, you can click on Common Core, then click on Common Core Tools, and from Common Core Tools, you're going to click on the prompt builder. And I think we're going to be updating this. You know, the states across the country have come up with their own names for the Common Core standards. There's still over 40 states that are using Common Core, but of those 40 states, almost 90% of them have come up with a new name. So we're going to be updating this page to read state standards instead of Common Core. That way people feel a little bit more comfortable using this tool. But this is basically built on the new national standards. There is a video to watch if you are interested in knowing how to use this a little bit more. And then if your staff wants to know more about this, they can watch the video. Then we have a couple of questions to answer in order to get this content available, because if I try clicking in here, I can't get into the prompt or task. I can't get in the context. So I need to answer a few questions. So I'm going to click middle high, and I'm going to then select fiction or nonfiction. And since the majority of our work really needs to focus on nonfiction, I'm going to go ahead and click on nonfiction. And then now I need to choose, do I want to teach a reading standard, do I want to teach a speaking standard, or do I want to teach a writing standard? So I'm going to go ahead and click a reading standard, since that's the session that we're in. And still, you can see that this is grayed out. I can't access the left-hand side. And then I'm going to choose an actual reading standard. So these are the anchors. So for example, R1 is about asking and clarifying questions about the content and then citing information. R2 is about retelling the main ideas and details of a text. R3 is about structures and information and how that information connects over a text. So if you don't have these memorized, you can just poke around and experiment. So I'm going to go ahead and click R3. And notice now two things just happened. This side on the left opened up for me to write inside, and these templates on the right-hand side opened up. So now I have some choices. If I click on any of these templates, the prompt or task section here will populate with a template. So if I say, let's discuss a problem in a text, or yeah, let's do that one. Now all of a sudden, this prompt or task that was an empty space fills in with a template. And watch how quickly I can build a prompt by just taking information and swapping it out. So I need to do, I'm just, for demonstration's sake, I'm just going to go ahead and use my own name. So I'm going to say, if I can spell it correctly, type it correctly, Jonathan Lemaster in, and I'm not a her, so in his text, and then I'm going to name the text. Right. So in his text, this is how you read well. I'm going to leave that comma there because that's what I want. And then introduce. Okay, so name the text. So I've done that. Cut that out. And then of course I'm not introducing the dangers, but maybe introduces the importance of teaching students how to read explicitly and closely. And I'm going to put a period there. According to, and it says author's last name, Lemaster. Right? What are the problems with, or what are the steps to? Do you see this? This is the power of this tool. It gives you the language that you need, but instead of it being a static document that you can't touch, it's interactive. And I can manipulate the language. If you don't like the word according to, You can change that vocabulary. You can increase the complexity of the vocabulary. You can level it down. You can create multiple prompts by simply just typing in the information and then coming back to it and retyping it. So there's lots of flexibility here. Now this is a pretty long template. They are not all that long. If I choose another one, summarize a solution, what's going to happen is Natalie, who is our tutorial here, she's going to give us a heads up like, hey, if you change this, you're going to lose your work. So I'm going to click on summarize a solution, and here she is. And she says, look, you're about to lose this. I'm going to say yes. And now notice the template is so much smaller or shorter. Not all of our templates are as long as the first one. They're all different lengths depending on what you were trying to accomplish. So now it says what problem does, and then I would put in the author's full name, present or introduce in her text or his text. What is one solution to the problem? Has it been successful? Okay. So this is a different template. Let me go to R5. R5 now gives us some different looks, text structure. Analyze how blank uses text structure and text features like headings and subheadings, visuals, and graphics to develop his or her ideas. Two things that are wonderful about this. Number one, it saves you a ton of time. Number two, it reminds you to do some things that we kind of forget sometimes. Like, do we always think about asking our kids to analyze the headings and subheadings and visuals and graphics of text? Or do we just move forward and really get to what is the information, what's on the page? So it reminds us to do these things that are standard-based, that are standard-aligned. And then once you have it done, you can add context if you want. So you can say, you know, for many years, students have struggled to understand or struggled to read texts with you know, high levels of, and then you could, you know, you could give a context, whatever it is. If it's a fiction context, you know, you could talk about an author. You can say, you know, blank author has written 5 novels over his lifetime. You know, so you have options, whatever the context is, you can add that. On the bottom, all of the context and the prompt is put together for you in one snapshot. And then we give you some samples of what our prompt builder can do, what kind of sophistication you can expect from our prompt builder. So here's what I want to do as our first activity. I'm going to jump back over to close reading our agenda. I want you to play around with the prompt builder. Valerie, you can mute your microphone if you want, and you can be as loud as you absolutely want.
Okay.
If you hover over the screen where you're looking, and there should be a little menu drop down, and you should see a picture of a microphone, a picture of a camera. If you click on the microphone, it should mute. There you go. Nice job. So now you can be as loud and as crazy as you want, and it's absolutely okay. Good morning to you, by the way. So in the second session in the middle where it says activity, it says write a sample prompt using LiteracyTA's prompt builder. So that's what I'd like you to do. You're going to go to this document where it says start, and this document's going to open up to a page that should be familiar to you. You're going to write your name and then type in your email. And I forgot to tell you last time to choose a color. See where it says here, sign in and pick a color. So when you put your name in, I want you to choose a color. You can be pink, you can be green, you can whatever, as long as we can read it. A bright yellow might not work well on a white background. But choose a color. Then you're going to go and work in the writing prompt builder and develop a prompt for a text that you want to teach this year, a text that you've already taught, and you're going to paste it on the second page, writing prompt, where it says writing prompt or task. And then I want you to choose what standards it addresses. So does it address R3? Does it address R7? Does it address both R3 and R7? or whatever your standard names are, I'd like you to put those standards here. Not the full standard, just a reference. So I just gave you a bunch of tasks, so I'm going to review very quickly. You're going to go to the prompt builder, and you're going to create your own prompt based on something you can use. When you're ready with that, you're going to come in and type your name in the activity that says start. So over here, this is our second day. Here's a link to the prompt builder, and you're going to press start, and it's going to take you to this activity page. It says session 2, activity 1. When you type your name, I would like you to choose a color, purple, pink, green, blue, doesn't matter, so that we can kind of keep track of who is doing what. And when you're ready, you're going to go ahead and copy and paste your prompt on the second page, and then write the standards that align to that prompt. I'm here if you have any questions, and I will be here monitoring. You can ask me by unmuting your microphone, or you can type in the chat. I imagine this will take about 10 minutes, maybe 10 to 12. If you have any questions, please ask me. Otherwise, you guys are free to use the writing prompt builder and play with it, see what's there, and then in order to make this work useful to you, ask a question, write a prompt that relates to the curriculum that you do, so that you don't feel like you're doing something that's not useful for you.
Okay, so I have a question. This is Valerie.
Go ahead, Valerie.
So I'm in the task, the prompt builder, and I clicked on all of the things I'm supposed to click on with my standards, and then the templates came up, and I chose R1. And when I went to R1 and I chose claims, evidence, reasoning, it
Okay.
said that that was a premium something, and that I needed a TA or something that I need to log in or sign up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can help you with that. Um, okay, okay, so what you need to do for me is in the chat box for the Google Plus Hangout, type in your first and last name and then your email address, and I can give me a minute and I can fix that for you.
Okay, so you say go back to the, I'm sorry, the,
Yeah, the Google Plus Hangout that where you can see my screen. I'm sharing my screen with you.
yes.
So there should be a chat. Do you see the chat? If you hover over on the screen and look to your left, there
Mhm.
should be a little blue chat bubble.
Okay,
If you click on that, that will allow you to type a message to me. Do you
okay,
see it?
I see it.
And then what you're going to do is type your first and last name and then your email address and then press enter. And then I'll take that information and I will send you a welcome email. So then you'll need to check your email in about probably 1 minute.
Okay, I'm sending it now. Did you get it?
I see it, yes. So
Okay,
give me a second and I'll work on this here for you.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Still looking for it. Hold on a second. Hmm.
Do I need to send? I sent my work email. I can send my personal email.
No, that's not the problem. I'm actually looking for your guys' group, and so I can add a TA membership to your account, and I'm just struggling to find that right now.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so let's check in with everyone else. I've sent an email out. I should get something back quickly.
Okay.
So I'll keep you up to date. I apologize for that.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for helping.
Yeah, no problem. I found it. Yay.
Excuse me.
Okay. Let's see here. I should be able to send you out. If you check your email,
Okay.
your school, it looks like your school email, that's the email address you gave me. You
Yes.
should find a welcome email. Let me know if you see that from
Oh,
LiteracyTA.
okay. I'm going in right now.
Okay.
TA membership.
Yep.
Okay.
So if you open that, there should be some instructions on how to create a password.
Okay.
And then as soon as you create a password, you'll be able to, it probably just logs you in automatically, and then you'll be able to use the prompt builder, and then you have the membership for an entire year.
Oh, okay. And so just just follow the directions to create my password.
Correct.
Okay. Doing it now. Thank you.
You're welcome. And if you can mute your microphone, that way if you
Okay.
have any noises, they're all muted.
Okay. I'm
Thanks.
muting now.
Thank you. Okay, so it looks like a couple of us, based on color, Lillian, you have yours in. And then Chantel, I think you have yours in. Perfect. So wait a few more minutes here for Jennifer, and then Valerie's just getting on board, so we may have to move forward. Yeah, no problem, Jennifer. That's awesome. You're probably already doing this, but if you are finished, the two of you, you can go ahead, like I'm experimenting right now, I'm just kind of messing around. You can see the depth of the prompt builder by just clicking around. So I switched over to fiction, reading, R3, and found all these great prompts for how characters and conflict impact each other, how characters influence plot, how plot influences characters, who characters are. So there's lots here for fiction as well. I think we have over 180 prompt templates. And I know that seems overwhelming, but the way we filter them out, you usually only see, 6 to 8 different prompts at a time. So feel free to click around and learn about what we're offering and see what's here and kind of see the power of using this prompt builder. And if you go to the speaking ones, notice that the language is already written for group. So if you click on speaking and then a speaking and listening, not language, the speaking and listening standard, you'll see that the language in the template is already geared towards discussion. So it'll say something like in pairs or in small groups or stand in front of the class and present. So the language is already there for speaking, which is great.
Well, no, hold on one second. Yes. He seems to be pretty good. He was trying to actually go to class today, and
Okay, so one last question. Once I build my prompt, how do I
Mm-hmm.
get it into the sheet that where you want it posted?
Excellent question. So go ahead and copy your prompt.
Okay, I did that.
All right, and then go back to the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
And on the agenda, in the cell that says this session 2, it says write a sample prompt under activity. Write a sample prompt using LiteracyTA's prompt builder that focuses on specific skills, and then there's a start link.
Okay.
It's capital letters, and there's a link.
Yes, I see that.
So click on that one,
Okay.
and that should take you to the activity page.
Okay.
And if you scroll down to the second page, you'll see the other 3 prompts.
Okay.
There you go. Nicely done.
And I just have to go back and get my standard. I forgot what it was.
Okay, and as you finish that up, I'm going to go ahead and continue, if you don't mind.
No, I'm sorry, I'm muting it again.
All right, so let's go back to, first of all, good job with the prompts. Hopefully you can see how useful this can be for you and your staff. I use this all the time. This is my go-to. It makes sense because it's aligned to standard. It reminds me of the things that I should be doing. All the little details of the standards that I sometimes overlook or I forget. So use this prompt builder as often as possible. On the agenda, our next step is to start looking at the 5 steps to confident reading. And I went over them briefly last time we met, but today we're going to get into detail in 2 of them. The first one is analyzing prompts. And your homework assignment, which I'll go over at the end of the session, will be to practice analyzing prompts. But right now, we just need to learn a little bit about it and understand the importance of a prompt. So we talked last time we met about prompts being the driver of purpose-driven reading, and giving kids a prompt really helps them focus in on what we want them to read and how we want them to read. And so having that tool, the writing prompt builder, really makes this work easy for us, because what I'm asking you to do is provide a prompt for every reading that you do, even a poem. Provide a prompt, unless it's like a quick journal entry or something that you just want them to get some information to write quickly for 5 or 10 minutes. But if you're going to spend any time with a text, poem, short story, novel, article, current event, I would ask you to start with a prompt and get them to analyze that prompt. And if you remember from last week, you don't have to have them write on the prompt. You don't have to have them write an essay every time, but they need that experience of breaking down prompts. They need the experience of analyzing those prompts before they start reading. So on this, I think you guys can see this. On the presentation, you can see that the writing prompt is something that we want, and we just started experimenting with the templates. So because of time, I'm going to go ahead and skip this portion, but I wanted you guys to have a conversation about what are you currently doing with prompts. So instead, maybe we can just have you type it in the chat. Maybe we can have you type in the chat. So if you want to, on the right-hand side, talk about what are you currently doing with prompts. So for example, are you giving prompts for larger essay assignments? Are you currently using prompts to drive reading? Have you never thought of that before? Is that something you would like to do? How often do your students work with prompts? So are your kids seeing prompts once every 3 or 4 weeks because that's how often you assign an essay? Are they seeing prompts every week because you assign an essay every week? Are they seeing prompts multiple times a week? So just kind of getting an idea of where you guys are. So instead of unmuting your mics and having that discussion, let's just put some things in the chat. What are some of the what are your experiences with prompts, meaning these questions that we ask about text? How often and in what ways are you using them? Okay, we're going to go ahead and move forward, but I want to bring to light a couple of things. First of all, how interesting this type of communication is, where we're chatting in a chat room, if you will, versus speaking. And so think about how we might incorporate this into our own classrooms. If you set up a Google Doc and you say, all right, I want us to have a class discussion, but I want it to be silent and I want us just to talk about it through chat. It is kind of interesting how it changes. Some of your quieter students become more vocal. You start to really see some personality emerge from their written work. Students can be a little bit more relaxed about what they say because it's not being kind of like displayed out in a public space, even though it is. Because it's online, they see it a little bit differently. You guys were saying some wonderful things, sharing ideas about what you do. If I were to ask you this question, you were to have to speak through the microphone, we might not get as much information and maybe not the depth. So it's kind of interesting to engage kids in a different way sometimes in discussion, using tools like Socrative. I'll type that in. If you've never heard of that before, Socrative is a great tool to get kids communicating online during like a Socratic seminar, but this would be online as well, so maybe people on the outside circle of the Socratic discussion could be talking while the inside group is talking. Or you can just use Google Chat, and you guys could chat back and forth as teams and groups, as a whole class. So it's just something a little different that happened right now that I wanted to illuminate and make sure that everyone is seeing the power of this kind of discourse and how it might be used to add a little bit of variation in your classroom and give some different experiences for your students. So thank you for sharing all those wonderful ideas. And truly, I didn't even think about my journal as giving prompts. I'm going to give a prompt every single day through my journal. And the difference, though, I think, is that they tend to be less academic in the sense that they're not asked to use sources. And number two, I never ask them to break down formally or in any formal way the prompts for the journal. So when I give them more of an academic prompt that's going to ask them to dive into a text, I ask them to analyze it, which you're going to be doing for your homework between now and tomorrow. You'll see there's a little bit of difference. And if I had them analyze prompts, like Jennifer, you were talking about, you were having your kids break prompts down, and you're doing that now more than you did before. I think that if I had them do that with the journal, that would kind of lose the kind of special moment that they have writing in their journal, because they would kind of see it as hard work that they're just not into. So it's good. It's good to be able to identify that. But what's great about the journal, I guess, is that they are seeing prompts more frequently, and they are having to respond on topics. That's good practice. Okay, so our second step, so that's step one. Step one is all about prompts in the reading process. It's all about developing the prompts and giving them to the kids and breaking them down and using them to set a purpose for reading. Step two is what we as teachers are most familiar with. It's that building background, creating interest, getting kids involved in the reading. So this is vocabulary, this is anticipation guides, this is the previewing and predicting. So what I wanted to do, and I think I've set this up on the agenda, is take you guys to some of our resources just so you're aware of it. So as I continue to share my screen, I'm going to show you the second session, engaging students in step two. So we have building prior knowledge, critical concepts, previewing and predicting. So what we're going to do is I'm going to click on this. You can watch or follow. So building prior knowledge, and that's going to take me to prior knowledge skills on LiteracyTA. There are 6 of them, but there's so many other things that you could do. There's so much here that you could do, but I want to let you know that these are here. So evaluating sources is something that you could do before they actually start getting into a text. Previewing and predicting, right, is very important for building schema. Building that mental roadmap is how I define schema. Analyzing an author. So when I read science fiction, I love to look at what made this author write this very strange and bizarre story. What was it about this person's upbringing, life, experience that got them to write this way. And you always find out some of the most interesting things as to why certain authors write the way they do. So analyzing an author is something that you can do, especially for 11th and 12th grade students. That's extremely important. I Know You Know is a fun little exchange of what's the topic, what do you know about it, now go give it to someone else, and then they're going to tell you what they know, and it's an exchange of ideas. And of course the typical quick write, where you can give them any topic that you want that pertains to the upcoming text, and you can get them to write and talk and share ideas. I want to jump into Preview and Predict because I want to show you some of the ways that we can support this work. We can take this to another level of excellence and another level of expectation by holding them accountable for a few things. So one of the things when we ask our kids to Preview and Predict is we might have them share what they're finding. So this is the handout, Preview and Predict. So it walks them through step 1 to step 4, survey the text, make a prediction, scan this, and read the first and last paragraphs. Sometimes kids are not going to use the academic language that I want them to use, however. So what we've created is Preview and Discuss starters. So here there are some follow-up questions, but then what's underneath them are language starters, language stems that we can encourage our students to use so that they are practicing formulating academic language. And that can be so important to the seriousness, how much they focus and take the assignment seriously, and also just giving them those language frames that help them in their writing later on. If we expect them to speak more academically about a text, then that will transfer over to their writing. There's been a lot of research done on this particular topic where kids speaking academically, it transfers over to their writing. You'll find that kids write the way they speak, and so when we don't model that for them, how to speak academically, then the problem is that they write more colloquially and they use more not slang, but they're less formal, and that shows up in their writing. So we can give them language starters like this. And what's great about an activity like Preview and Predict is I can go into my lessons. So let's say I want them to Preview and Predict. I'm going through my presentation, and I hear, right, watch this. Let's say I say you guys have 2 minutes to go through the Preview and Predict steps, and then I'm going to ask you guys to share, and I'm walking around the room, and I realize that some of my students are not speaking in the same ways I want them to. They're not bringing the type of academic rigor. So watch what I do. I can slide through my presentation, right? And while they're speaking, I can kind of interrupt their work and open up this this tool and say, guys, I hear what you're doing. I really like that you're on topic, but here's what I want. I would like you guys to go back through, and now I want you to use some of the language stems that are up here when you talk about what you're finding in the text. I want you to restart. I want you to use that same brilliant mind that you have, but I want you to use this language and explain to them why that's important, and then let them go. So in the moment, I can respond to what's happening in the classroom and give them the resources. Or you could do something a little bit different, and you could go to the rubric and say, ladies and gentlemen, I'm walking around the room and I'm hearing some things. Here's what I want you to focus on. Right now, you're not telling me any reason why you are making the predictions you're making. So let me go over the rubric and my expectations for you so that you understand what I want out of this work. So here we go. What I want over on the very right is I want you to give reasons and purpose for the different reading aids. I want you to explain why they're here. I want you to explain why you think that, and getting them to see what you expect from them is going to help them understand your expectation. It's going to help you communicate your expectation, and it's all here. So the problems that come up in a classroom, which there are many, the problems that come up, we can address them. We can address them by using the different tools in this presentation, right? So this is a kind of a dual purpose right now. I'm simulating for you how to use this resource, but then also talking about step 2 in the process. And this is just one, of course. This is preview and predicting. There's lots of things that we can do with our kids. And one of the things that I love to do is mix it up so that it's always different for them. So one time I might be doing preview and predicting, another time I might add I know you know, I might add in a quick write. So I like to mix these things up. But I don't want to spend too much time in this section. Remember, if you go back to our presentation, if you can always go back and look at this, we had talked about these kind of time frames, how much time we should be spending. So in step 2, I probably won't be spending a ton of time with this because I want to get to the actual close reading. I want to spend most of my time with the close reading. In step 2, you also have vocabulary. So one of my most favorite vocabulary activities I do with my kids, if you go to the agenda, you can click on critical concepts. So I'm on the agenda and I'm going to click on critical concepts. You can watch from your screen or you can follow along by clicking on the link. This here is one of my favorite because I'm in control of the vocabulary. It's not random words, random difficult words that kids don't know. These are words that I need my kids to know. You can read up in the description about what critical concept stands for, like what are these things called critical concepts. And I have my kids, whether it be at home, in class, in groups, or independently, they create this graphic organizer in their notes. I do not make photocopies of this. I teach them how to fold this paper in 5 columns. After the second time, they know exactly how to do it, and I just tell them, guys, I want you to fold a critical concepts graphic organizer, and they do very quickly. And I give them the words that I want them to use. If you're using a smartboard, you can fill that in right here. If you're using something like Goodreader on an iPad, you can open this handout in Goodreader and you can fill it out digitally on the screen. Or what I do is I project it onto my whiteboard. So I pull up my screen and I use the whiteboard and I write it in here. So I write down the critical concept, the part of speech, I give them the brief definition, the synonym, and then we as a class draw the picture. And the reason why I like critical concepts as my main vocabulary strategy is because it's about the words around and in the text. It's not just difficult words. It's words that they need to know. So let's say I'm reading an article about the economy, but in the article it's not talking about certain things they need to know. So I might want them to know about taxes. I might want them that, you know, if there's a critical concept, I might have like a concept like tax bracket, or I might have the word market. I might have the word economy. So I'm going to choose words that are either inside the text or outside of the text, so that they have the knowledge they need going into the reading and have that context. So at LiteracyTA, we call these critical concepts. They're different than just regular vocabulary words. And you can read, again, about that a little bit at the top. And then you can kind of get a good understanding of that by looking at the guide as well. So the guide here walks you through the critical concepts. So this would all be in step 2. Okay, so let me go to my presentation, and I'm going to go back up to where you can see step 1 and step 2. So step 1, prompts. Step 2 is giving them the critical concepts if they need them, giving them opportunities to think about the information through quick write, through pair share, I know you know, getting them to do an anticipation guide, whatever it is to kind of set their mind to the reading and getting them acquainted with the topic. And then 3, which we're going to do tomorrow, that's reading for comprehension. So that's the third step in the reading process. All right, let me review my agenda real quickly. I'm going to let you see my face here so you know I'm still around. Hello. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the agenda and make sure I haven't missed anything. I think we're on track with everything that we set out for today. Reviewing the 5 steps, we had a chance to do the prompt builder. So I think we're now at the homework assignment. So don't be scared of this. I think you'll really like this activity. It's interactive, believe it or not, even though I'm not going to be here. It's interactive because there's a video component, there's a little bit of work that you're going to have to do, and then you're going to be asked to upload your work. So I'm going to walk you through that. We need this time right now. If you have any questions, you guys can ask by unmuting your mic, or you can type in the chat. But I think I've made this as clear as I possibly can. I'm going to start with the agenda. If you guys want to read along, in session 2 on the very right-hand side where it says Continue Learning, it says Open Renee Schouff's prompt. So if you click on Renee Schouff, it's going to open up another Google Doc, and there's going to be a prompt there. It says Print it and mark it the way you teach students to mark prompts. So you're going to open this prompt and you're going to print it. At the top of it, you're going to see where you're going to mark. So I'm going to now disappear again, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about here because I think it will make more sense. I'm going to open up Renee Schouff, and you're going to see a prompt. So it says, Step 1, try marking it on your own. So what I'm going to have you do is you're going to print this, and you can do this immediately after this session concludes, or you can do this sometime today or early tomorrow, because you're going to have a couple of hours ahead of me. So you're going to mark this the way you would teach your kids how to mark. Okay. Now on the agenda it says, I'll continue reading, you're going to now upload. Oh, I didn't. Does it tell you to? Oh, yeah, sorry, I jumped down the page. Then it says, then watch Analyzing the Prompt video and mimic the teacher's decisions. So I'm going to go into Analyzing the Prompt video, and if you can look at the screen for me for just a second, I can show you. When you get to Analyzing a Text, you're going to scroll down till you see the video, and there's a video down here. See that? So you're going to then, with the second prompt, it's a repeat prompt. It's the same exact one. The first one, you're going to mark the way you teach your kids. The second one, you're going to follow this video and mark it the exact same way that the video is teaching you. And the purpose of that is just to show you how you're doing it versus how we're doing it, and to draw some similarities and differences. That's it, is to see what is our process at LiteracyTA, how would you teach it to your kids, and just to get that aha moment and reflection. It might affirm what you're doing, it might add to what you're doing, it might give you a whole new way of doing it. But I want you to do yours first. So on the sample prompt, you guys are going to mark this prompt first. Then you're going to watch the video, and you're going to mark it the way that Jose Lucero, the LiteracyTA coach, asks you to mark it, and you're going to mimic him exactly what he does, and you're going to do it here. The final step is you're going to then go back to your agenda, and you're going to upload. So whether you take a picture of it and make it digital, or you scan it, you're going to upload your marked page, your 2 marked prompts. You're going to upload them to this folder, and I've given you permission to access this folder and upload it. So how that works is you're going to click on it, and it's going to take you to this empty folder. There won't be anything there yet. And you're going to, I believe you can either drag it in, right? You can drag it in, or you can go to New, and you can do File Upload. You see that? So if you're hearing me right now and you're on another document, because I've taken you all over the place, if you're hearing me right now, go ahead and try to get to the screen so you can see. So you're going to click on that folder link, and it's going to take you here. You can either drag and drop, so it says drop files here, or you can click New and click File Upload, search for your file, and then you're just going to upload it. So that's going to be the continued learning, is I want you to watch that video, mark the prompt the way you would mark it, then watch the video, mimic those decisions, and then send that to me. So with the few minutes remaining, I'm going to open it up for questions or anything you would like to share with me, or you want to ask me something about what we went over, or you want to share something that's happened with you in the classroom. Just is kind of open. We could talk about the homework, whatever it is that you would like to talk about.
So this is Valerie.
Hi, Valerie.
Hi. I was not able to attend the first class where you had the 5 steps.
Mm-hmm.
So are these the same steps that we're going through now in this class where you're doing
Yes.
step 2?
Yes. So
Okay.
what we did in the first class is just kind of give you guys the context of there are these 5 steps, and in all of our classes, our students should follow these steps. And it was a brief overview. We mostly focused on skill-based instruction, how we can achieve by challenging our students and supporting them. So now, from session 2 on, we're going to be spending time focusing on each of the steps.
Oh, okay. But is there any way that I can see that? Is it pre-record? I mean, is it recorded, the last class, so I can just go back and review?
Yes, it is. If you go to the agenda and you look towards the top, you're going to see a list of our session dates, and every recorded session will be linked. The session will be glowing with a link, and that means that's the recorded one. So today, the session 2 is not linked, but as soon as we're done, I'm going to close the session, stop the recording, and then I'm going to link it to session 2. So you'll have session 1 and session 2.
Okay, thanks very much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Lillian. Thank you for those. I was just going to ask you guys, if you don't have anything to share, can you give me like, I do this with my kids first day of school. You can take this if you want. After I am done with my first day, because my first day is so different, I ask them to give me one word that that kind of describes today. And I said, give me an adjective that describes today. And I go to each student, all 34, 36 of my kids, and they say one word, and it's really cool. So in exiting today, why don't you do that for me in the chat, if you're still here. Give me one word that kind of summarizes or describes what you're feeling like right now. So what is one word, and you can just chat, put it in the chat, that can describe either session 1 and session 2 or session 2. Just something that you're feeling. And don't worry, it's not about seeking praise. It's really just interest in where you are right now. Good. So Lillian, excited? Informed, Jennifer. Good. Intrigued, Chantel. Good one. So try this with your students. It's actually it's quite interesting. My first day of school, I do not spend any time going over rules, requirements. I don't tell them what what they're going to be doing. I introduce myself. I do a couple of activities with them that are kind of like vision building activities. and we jump into an inspirational text, and we just go. And we probably get in and out of pair share 10 times in the first day. It's constant. It's for 30 seconds each time. I want to set the stage and the tone of the class that we're going to be talking a lot, that we're going to be exploring our own ideas, that we're going to be looking into ourselves as individuals. We're going to be looking at the world. And it's kind of like, you know, I start with a challenge activity when they first come in. They have to seat themselves alphabetically without speaking. It's kind of a different class that they're not used to. And then I ask them for one adjective, and it's fun. It sets the tone for the rest of the year. So if you want to talk to me more about it or steal anything of mine, by all means, please steal away. And then during the week, I start giving them a little bit of like, here are the routines, here's the opening tradition, here's what I expect with your planner. I give them little bits throughout the week instead of dumping them all at once. And then their syllabus they have to download at home. It's online, and they have to download it at home, and they have to take notes on it. So that's their first homework assignment instead of me going over it in class. So think about those kind of things. Okay, Jennifer, it says, I think you just have a couple, I see you here, so I think there's just a couple of, maybe a couple of you in the room, I'm not sure. But anyway, guys, it's another great morning with you. It's been an hour and a half. It's amazing how quickly that goes. Thank you for your time, thank you for your patience, and thank you for your participation. It's been fun working with you, and you know, bring a friend next time if you want. And you can always watch the recorded version, fast forward the parts that are a little bit quieter when you guys are doing work, and you can always review things that were said and discussed. So I look forward to tomorrow. I think that's the next day, looking at the agenda. Our next session, session 3, is going to be July 2nd, and then we have a couple of days in between, and then we have a string of days, 7, 8, and 9, and 10. And that one some of them I'm going to be broadcasting from Big Bear, which is a local mountain community where I grew up. I'm going to see my mom, and my sister's getting married over the weekend. So I'm going to be broadcasting from a little mountain town, so that should be fun. Anyway, thank you guys very much. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow morning. Okay, talk to you guys later. Thank you.